Today I fucked up by having sex with a tampon in, losing it, and having to get my professor remove it, NSFW. This happened last night. Put a tampon in around 6 p.m. and went about my evening activities. I had a busy night, but at the end of the night I got to see my boyfriend. Totally forgot about the tampon, and we had sex. I have a pretty light flow / low key periods due to an IUD, so between that and my busy day I totally forgot I had a tampon in. We wake up this morning and I remember, my stomach drops. I immediately go to the bathroom and I can't feel it. It's gone. I tried switching positions, squatting, had my boyfriend try, everything I could think of. Nothing. After close to a half hour of trying, hoping, and praying to the vagina gods, I accept my fate. This shit is gone. At this point I'm worried that I'm never finding this thing and it's going to be stuck inside of me forever. I also know the risk of contracting TSS if I keep it in much longer, so I know I need to get it taken care of sooner rather than later. After class I'm off to our student health center. I go to a small college, so the doctor is only in for an hour a day. I strategically timed it so that I wouldn't see the doctor. He teaches one of my classes, Gen Med, at night once a week. I wasn't keen on having my professor dig through my vagina to find a lost tampon, so I was hoping the nurse could do it. Nurse is very nice and reassuring but says I have to wait for the doctor. Great. Sometime later I'm in a gown, in the stirrups, waiting for my professor to come in, just full of dread. He comes in and is super friendly because he knows me from class, which is the last thing I wanted. Really wish he would have just stayed silent at this point and pretended that he didn't know me. He starts the vaginal exam and the following exchange occurs. Drive, to the nurse, well, she got some pretty good news last night. Me. Doctor, there's no final in Gen Med. Me. Oh. I for real thought he was commenting that the sex was good. Don't get me wrong, it was, but that was even more mortifying than being in the stirrups, naked from the waist down, having my professor look at my vagina. He finds the tampon after 5 long, agonizing minutes of searching. I have his class in a few days. Not sure how I'm going to look at him. I'm a 4.0 student and I've never felt more stupid in my entire life. Too long didn't read, forgot I had a tampon in and had sex, losing the tampon. Had to go to the health center to get it removed by my professor, who is also the campus physician. Edit, I was dumb enough to say stupider instead of more stupid, as many of you have pointed out. It's been a long day, y'all. Edit 2, turns out stupider was fine. Lesson learned, those terms are interchangeable, trust your gut. Also, take your tampon out before sex. Edit 3, wow, I didn't really expect this post to blow up like it did. Thanks for making a story about my vagina make the front page, guys. For those of you asking, it ended up near my cervix. It was too small / deep for me to have much success getting it myself, because when you lean forward to do a self-exam, the vaginal canal tightens. Thanks for the supportive messages, I didn't realize this was such a common problem. Makes me feel a lot better, lol. If I understand correctly, he's the only doctor for the health center and I assume he's been there for years, so I guarantee he's seen so much worse than this from his own students. This is college after all. Obgyn doctor here. He's seen that, and worse, tons of times. To him it's no big deal. Put your mind at ease. A medical professional has always seen worse. Sometimes people forget that humans can be very, very stupid. He's a doctor, he's seen and done this more times than you can imagine. Damn, that's awkward. Serious question though, I know sometimes it's possible to forget you have a tampon in, but how did your boyfriend not see / feel it? Lol, I asked him the same question. No idea. This happened with my wife and I once. Got drunk, had sex, forgot she had one in. I think the next day, or maybe the day after, she was finally like, I'm pretty sure you jammed a tampon all up in me, can you check? The smell alone had already been turning, and I suspected she was right, which I confirmed after some deep probing. I did what any loving husband would do, and went tampon digging. Eventually, after a while of no success, she just told me to not worry about hurting her and to just get it out. I think this is the closest I've come to fisting her, but after some tears from her and some nimble cooperation from my fingers, I got that tampon out, much to her relief. The best things on Reddit are those that make me cringe and those that make me laugh. You accomplished both. Today I fucked up by thinking I had a family history of glaucoma after finding my dad's weed 17 years ago. Too long didn't read, at the bottom. 17 years ago I passed my driver's test and wanted to take the family car out on my own. Being a huge nerd, I checked the glove compartment for the insurance and registration info, which is when I found a baggie full of weed and a small wooden pipe. I just kinda sat there for a minute, grabbed it and went back in the house and found my dad. I handed it to him, said I didn't care who it belonged to, but if I ever got pulled over, the cops probably weren't going to believe the 16-year-old girl that it wasn't hers. He just put the stuff in his pocket, kinda shrugged and said, "It's your mom's for her glaucoma. Whatever, fine, just don't keep it in the car anymore." I was at a family dinner a while ago and I can't remember what someone said, but I replied with, "Yeah, because mom has glaucoma," and my mom goes, "I don't have glaucoma," and I, incredulously, said, "Dad said you had glaucoma," in which my dad responds to with, "What the hell are you talking about? I never said that." After reminding him of said driving incident over a decade ago, he just looks at me and burst out laughing, said he had no memory of that at all and couldn't believe I believed his off-the-cuff lie about my mom having a degenerative eye disease. I told them I had been writing down family history of glaucoma at every doctor and eye visit I'd been on for the past like 15 years. They just laughed harder. Too long didn't read, I found my parents' weed stash when I was 16, they told me it was for glaucoma, I believed them for almost 2 decades. Edit, this was my first post, thank you so much for the flair. Edit 2, sorry for those saying this is made up, but I really am just a huge nerd / goody two shoes and was terrified of getting in trouble. Yes, my parents were cooler than me and still are, and no, I didn't appreciate that until I was much older. Edit 3, the only time I remember a doctor / optometrist ever really commenting on it was when I went to have LASIK when I was like 26, 27, and they said they did a more in-depth exam before approving me for the surgery. My aunt told me that she had a plastic leg, and that my mum had pushed her down the stairs when they were kids. My mum was nearby and just went along with it. I remember touching her leg and saying how realistic it looked. About 15 years later I suddenly remember my aunt's plastic leg and feel awful because I forgot about it and never bothered to ask how she was since she told me about it. So I ask her how her leg is and she has no idea what I'm talking about. On the plus side, it's a nice inside joke now. Now you are making me wonder whether my mom really has diabetes or a heroin addiction. Have you seen Mummy's insulin spoon anywhere? Texas, sized oof right there. At least you don't actually have a family history of glaucoma. Definitely a silver lining. Amazing. I got my nose pierced when I was 16. My dad was like, "That's no big deal, I can put a ring through my nose," and he proceeds to do it. I was like, "What the F? Why don't you have skin between your nostrils?" He said it was because of work. I was 33 when he mentioned it while my wife was there. I think we were talking about piercing. I was like, "Oh, it's just because of his work." And she said, "No, it's probably because of all the cocaine he did when he was younger." My dad just smiled and then they both broke out into laughter. Mind blown. Your dad and wife are definitely secret blow buddies. Haha, you fool for believing something entirely plausible that I, your father, told you as a child. Total dad move. Today I fucked up by offering a handjob to potential employers. I'm preparing to graduate college, and as such, have spent hours and hours honing my resume before applying to my dream jobs. While working on the process, I've sent my resume to several friends to proof and critique it, which can get dull. So to give them a bit of a laugh, and being the immature college boy I am, decided to add a line about offering frequent handjobs to my employer under the skills line. Obviously to be removed in the final copy. Well, my friend got busy and didn't get around to the proofread for about a week. finally read it and told me it looked good. Well, I forgot about the joke and immediately started applying to jobs with it. Needless to say, I don't think I'll be getting interviews. Or maybe just not the kind of interviews I want. And if you're reading this, Boeing, Lockheed, and a few other companies, I'm sorry, and I will not be offering hand jobs to my employer. Too long didn't read, I forgot to delete a hand job joke on my resume before applying to my dream job. Always proofread your resumes, kids. A friend once paid me to write an essay for him in high school. It was going to be half of a test he had to take. So the plan was that I'd write it out for him, and he'd just smuggle it in his sleeve and copy it in his own handwriting during the test. In very tiny little notes throughout in minuscule little all caps, I was writing funny messages to him that he would see while copying it, just to give him a laugh. Shit like, "You're gonna file and I can't believe you paid for this." Welcome test day, I asked him how it went. He told me he'd run out of time and just handed in the folded up copy that I'd given him. He hadn't even glanced at it. I had the same teacher in another class and he recognized my handwriting right away. What a fucking dummy. Haha, fuck yes. Now this is a valid FU. Hopefully you didn't apply in a top-down manner, hitting the ones you wanted most, first. Unfortunately, that's exactly what I did. On the bright side, I don't think I would have gotten those ones even if I hadn't offered the HEA. I'd say you've got a firm grasp on the situation. If you do get one, remember a firm handshake is the key to the start of a good employment relationship. Today I fucked up by offering jobs instead of getting one.